Boyish is in the house. That's right. Diva Tomboyish in the house, in the zone, and just in time. Welcome to the Diva Tomboys Show, live and direct.
Yes, live and direct. Okay. Yeah. I get so hype about myself, okay? I get super, super hype. Hey, y'all, it's a little bit quiet over here. And I lives for the quietness, okay? I just wanted to gag. Listen, we are way behind on our Rebellious Royals. Along with my changing of plans on how I'm going to do things and as far as rebranding my channels. I am obsessed with the Royals. Everybody know that it doesn't matter what country they're representing and all of this stuff. Hey, Jazz. Yes, I have to give everybody wrenches over here. Um, to hold on. Mhm. Normally I'll be like, oh, you gotta donate to get another. But child, as long as you caught up with your little with your the $10 a month thing, then we all good. But anyway, listen. So this channel is going to be I'm going to change it because I think because I like discussing a lot of things. I had a lot of series that's open and this and the other. So um I know I'm still going to do like the little stuff that I was doing and all of that, but mainly this channel is going to be Rebellious Royals. All right. So after the show, you're going to see the name change for Rebellious Royals. Now, I'm going to talk about other topics, of course, but the main entree is going to be totally discussing Rebellious Royals and keeping up with the Royals and different things. In this little community, I'm not set to a particular sector. I put myself in my own lane. Um, I enjoy the Royals, and it's not. I don't think anybody discussed the Royals. I guess I'm the only weirdo, but I'm okay with that. The British Royals, in particular, is who I watch on a basis, on a frequent basis, and I enjoy them. I read a lot on them as far as their histories. So I'm also going to introduce their bloodline and all the disturbing things that have went on. These people, um, they covered up a lot, and they're very good at keeping themselves together. Um, I would say in this century is when the royals have become more public, like or been getting exposed, and I think majority is because you have the boys that are marrying out of um the bloodline, the royal bloodline, the commoners. Okay, so when you marry outside of that, then they aren't held to the same standards, or they get away with a lot of things. Sometimes they get away with it and then they're punished, as we seen what happened to Princess Diana. But if you pay attention, and actually my show tomorrow, I was going to go back to Yollywood on Thursday, but I need to catch up with some commentary and content on this channel, and then I'm gonna bounce back over there. So I have no idea. Whatever I do, I'm going to make sure I keep both channels abreast. I have two different um, source of interest, if you will. So the same 2K that's over there isn't the same. I mean, it might be mixed, but two different interests. And I want to make sure that I open that door for that instead of having everybody on one channel for everything. No, that's Yollywood. Over here is more of what I love to talk about. Now, let's get into the Rebellious Royal that we're focusing on today. Formerly known as Prince Andrew, he is the second son of Queen Elizabeth II. Now, like I said, because I love gossiping about the royals, child, I just do. I'm going to get into a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, as far as their bloodline and stuff like that, because this family got a lot of shit with them. I not only are they British royalty, but they are the kings, queens, prince, and the royal listen of scandal. Okay, I think that they have the most interesting lifestyle and things that's going on and out of all people in the world. Okay, what's up, Muff? What's up to everybody that came in? All right, so Prince. First, I'm going to start. I'll give you a brief biography so you can know who Prince Andrew is. Now, Prince Andrew is the second son of Queen Elizabeth II. Okay. He is the brother to King Charles. Okay. He's the middle child. He used to party a lot back in the day. Wait until I get into with who. If you already know, come on, hold it until I get to it. All right. So he was born February the 19th, 1960. Okay. He's still alive and well and got a lot of bullshit going on with him. Okay, he was demoted recently, and so he started out, with having a pretty good life, like all royalty. All right, he was in the military over there. Went to a boarding school in Scotland, the same school that his father went to, Prince Philip, and also Prince Charles. We're going to get into that too, as regards to the school that they went to. If you ask me, the boys were abused. Okay, King Charles really, um, he hated the school. Okay, Prince Philip, he just wanted his boys to go there and everything. But it's a lot of things that happen in that school that can be considered abusive. But we're going to get into that, all right, later on down the line. He underwent pilot training, okay, with the aircraft and helicopters, fixing them and all of those different things in 81. Just breezing by his, accomplishments and all of that stuff. Let's skip to he married Sarah Ferguson. Now, I have on this channel, I did a show on Sarah Ferguson. Her nickname is Fergie, and I think that that's where Black Eyed Peas Fergie got her nickname from. So she's known as Fergie. She was married to Andrew, and she got caught sleeping around with the maintenance man child. Okay, so like I said, they got a lot of shit going on. So she got caught slipping around with the maintenance man child in the back, sitting in the back patio. He all licking her feet and all this other stuff. So they took pictures of it. So that was a big old scandal in the 80s. Okay. That was like one of the biggest scandals. So anyway, when he got married to Fergie in 1986, she was also best friends with Diana. All right. They shared a lot of secrets and all of that stuff. Fergie later, she, had to leave the palace and all of that stuff. But if you want to catch up to that story, you can go ahead and find it on my channel. All right. So Andrew and Sarah, aka Fergie, had two daughters, Princess Beatrice born August 8th. Oh, my twin. Okay. Born August 8th. And Princess Eugenie, born March the 23rd. All right, let's skip down. All right, let's get into the meat. Andrew attracted controversy. Now, this is after he got divorced and he was single and all of that stuff. He became friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein, all right? Out of all people. Now, let's just think about this for a second. He's in the UK, okay? He's the son of Queen Elizabeth. He comes from royalty, okay? One of the most important families, if not the most important public figured family in the entire world. And when he goes to New York, he runs into Epstein. So how Andrew is saying that he met Epstein was through the wife, Maxwell. Okay. But what did they share in common? Epstein was rich and all, and so was Maxwell. But we're talking about a man whose mother is queen. Are you guys following me here? Now I can understand Trump being friends with Epstein. They're both from the United States. I can understand, I know that these people travel over to the States and stuff like this on business. But what in the fuck did those two have in common? Well, duh. Okay, so he's a freak. Okay, he's a perverted fucking freak. And that's why. All right, and I don't know why it's not where people blasting off, but it's okay. I'll blast off, and I'm gonna keep dragging his ass every single time he appears in the fucking media. Okay, he went on BBC telling lies, and every time you turn around, and every time he pop up in the back of photos and stuff, he look creepy, and nobody says a motherfucking thing. Okay, fuck him. Now they met, and Prince Andrew met in 1999. Okay. Not only did they just, like met maybe one time or twice, you might say, Diva. There's a lot of people that met Epstein and had dinner with him. So what? Or they took a picture with him. So what? No, not these two. Over the 12 period that they were friends, okay, and excuse me because I got a lot of tabs open in my brain. So Epstein and Andrew met a total of like 10 occasions. Okay. And we're talking about the prince staying for several days at a time at Epstein's residences in New York. Not only just New York, Palm Beach. Not just Palm Beach, Virgin Islands. Okay. And that little freak fest that he had over there. Okay. Now, let me ask a question. He spent all this time with Epstein and was friends with him for over 12 years. You think he didn't know that he was associated with pedophilia? You think he didn't know that it was underage girls that was around during the time? Huh? Now, when it comes to the royal family, they are notorious for sweeping things under the rug. Okay. I think that they knew what was going on, of course, but they did a good job, controlling media and all that other stuff. All right. So now let's talk about Epstein briefly. Okay. Because that's not my thing to talk about that stuff. Let's go over the timeline of when Epstein first got noticed in the public eye for his freak activities and perverted activities. March of 2015, in Palm Beach, Florida, they began investigating Epstein after the family of a 14-year-old girl reports she was molested at his mansion. Multiple underage girls, many of them high school students, would later tell police that Epstein hired them to give sexual massages. This is March 2015. Let's keep in mind, Prince Andrew and Epstein met in 1999. Okay? Let's also bring up the fact that, and I'm going to show you, we're going to do commentary on the interview that he did. He admitted that he did attend some of Epstein functions where he received massages, but he had no idea. Okay? So this is 2005. He still continued to be friends with Epstein. May 2006, Palm Beach police officials signed paperwork to charge Epstein with multiple counts of unlawful sex with a minor. But the county's top prosecutor, state attorney Barry Krischer, takes the unusual step of sending the case to a grand jury. This is May 2006. Now, the normal thing to do when you're in business with someone and they getting caught up, this is public now, March of 2005. Okay, you've been cool with him since 1999. So what do that mean? The first thing you need to do is separate your business from that person. Whatever excuse you was using to go party with this motherfucker in the United States, cut it off. Same thing where anywhere else. If somebody that has a business or a platform, how about it? And they start doing strange shit, separate your business from theirs. Because if you're associated with it, you're just as guilty, especially if you say nothing. All right. So let's go down to July 2006. Epstein is arrested after a grand jury indicts him on a single count of soliciting prostitution. The relatively minor charge draws almost immediate attention from critics, including Palm Beach police leaders. Okay? The FBI begins an investigation. Who's still friends with him? The prince. The prince. Everybody that was affiliated with Epstein, as soon as that shit hit the fan in 2015, they were supposed to distance themselves. But you know what? These type of people, they get away with a lot. So it's easy for them to beat charges and get away with stuff because they know the judges. They know the decision makers. The judges are under payroll. Everybody is together as a unit. Pretty much court and everything else, when it involves powerful people as this, being connected to other powerful people, especially knowing and provided as much as he did to the, oh my God. You think it was just, I mean, if we're talking about the prince here, we're talking about Queen Elizabeth's son. Imagine how many people, I know people have stated, many actors and actresses and stuff like that. Indeed, they probably was all involved. But then at that point, he was on top. But if I was in business and I had no idea, my sincere reaction would be, I don't want to be affiliated with that. It's disgusting. Do you understand? It's abomination. Innocent children. You're sick. So my immediate reaction because I don't want to be a part of that, is to distance myself or separate my business. Prince Andrew didn't do that. So that's 2006. They're still friends. 2007, federal prosecutors prepare an indictment against Epstein. But for a year, the money manager's lawyers engaged in talks with the U.S. attorney in Miami, Alexander Acosta, about a plea bargain that would allow Epstein to avoid a federal prosecution. Epstein's lawyers decry that his accusers as unreliable witnesses. June 2008, Epstein pleads guilty to state charges, one count of soliciting prostitution and one count of soliciting prostitution from someone under the age of 18. He is sentenced to 18 months in jail. This is 2008. Prince Andrew is still friends with him, still going to visit him, still going to get massages, all of that stuff. Hey, Miss Parker, Miss Parker, Miss Parker. This is still going on. Okay, so the U.S. Attorney's Office agrees not to persecute Epstein for federal crimes. Epstein serves most of his sentence in a work release program that allows him to leave jail during the day to go to his office, then return at night. 2008. That goes to show you. Shit, the motherfucking judge that was over the case, you know how many times he probably went to that island? Huh? They all fucking creeps. All of them. The U.S. attorney, all the motherfuckers. Epstein probably had them by the balls. All right? Let's go to 2019. Epstein is released from jail. For the next decade, multiple women who say they are Epstein's victims wage a legal fight to get his federal non-prosecution agreement voided and hold him and others liable for the abuse. One of Epstein's accuser, Virginia Giuffre, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Giuffre. Okay, this is the woman that accused Prince Andrew. We're talking about Queen Elizabeth's son, King Charles' brother. Okay, she accused him of sexual abuse at 17. Epstein and his girlfriend Maxwell set up sexual encounters with royalty, politicians, businessmen, and other rich and powerful men, including Britain's Prince Andrew, which he denies the allegations. But pause. Virginia produced a picture to the court. That's Prince Andrew. That's Virginia. That's 17. And look who in the background. Maxwell. Right? Virginia claims, which is this young girl right there you see on the screen, that she was trafficked to belong to Prince Andrew. He denied it like a motherfucker. And still to this day denies it. When they ask him about this picture, he says he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember anything about this picture. But get this, she wouldn't give up, and her attorneys wouldn't give up. And she kept fighting him. His power gave up, especially after this picture came out. She went into details about the nights she spent with the prince when he came to United States. She was a gift to him from Maxwell and Epstein. Oh, yes. She even stated how much he sweated. He took her dancing, and she named all the places that they had sex. And she was 17. He remembers none of it. Guess what he ended up doing? Settling out of court. How much? Still not disclosed to the public. So if you didn't do it, then why are you paying behind the scenes? Now, we went over Epstein's timeline. Wait, it's one more left. All right. So after the 2019 and Epstein, I'm so sorry, the girl Virginia start telling on Prince Andrew. In 2018, so sorry. In 2019, Epstein, he's arrested on federal sex trafficking charges after federal prosecutors in New York conclude that they weren't bound by the terms of the earlier non-prosecution deal. All right. Then it says, days later, Acosta resigns as labor secretary amid public outrage over his role in the initial investigation. That's because, of course, they all had something to do with it. They all was fucking freaks. But let's get back to Prince Andrew. In December of 2010, let's take it back. Prince Andrew decides to visit Epstein, right? Now the block was getting hot. Okay. He went and wanted to have a conversation with Epstein in person. And this flick was taken. They were having a stroll in the park. All right. Now, Prince Andrew states that the reason why he went to have a conversation with Epstein is because he wanted to cut off their friendship. He was done because it was too much going on. Prince Andrew claims that he had no idea that Epstein had this shit going on. So people ask, then why didn't you just call him? He says, I didn't call him because I wanted to, tell him in person. No, of course, we all know phones are tapped, especially around this time with Epstein. The block was hot. Okay. The block was hot since 2015. He just assumed that he was getting away with it because he had a lot of protection at that point. Right? So the block been hot. So he didn't want to talk over the phone. He didn't want to send an email. He didn't want to do any of that. He wanted to go talk to him face to face. Now, when you face to face, it's between you and him. No third parties are involved, right? Okay. Unless somebody is wearing a wire. So still to this day, we don't know what this conversation was about. Epstein is dead, supposedly killed as though. Epstein never told. Prince Andrew, we only can go by what he stated, that he just was cutting everything off with Prince Andrew. Let's get into, now later on it was said that Prince Andrew contacted Epstein later on down the line. Okay. And it was some emails that were produced. Am I going to get into that? I have no idea. I don't know. But anyway, Queen Elizabeth died. She was disgusted by what was going on, especially, excuse me, especially after Virginia accused the prince for sexual assault underage. So he was demoted. So he is no longer considered a prince. Okay. He is considered just Duke of York. Now, that's still a powerful position to be Duke. However, he is the son of Queen Elizabeth, and he does not get to be called a prince any longer. He also isn't doing anything much in the public eye anymore. You might see him in the background, but he's kind of like considered an embarrassment or whatever. This is something they can never make go away. And the it's still, even if you look his name up, it's still articles that are being posted about Prince Andrew, which I'm gonna begin to get in on that. Okay, when it comes to this nonsense with them. All right, so what we're gonna do is Prince Andrew, he was very silent, okay, especially after the woman was paid off. He got very silent, and people wanted a statement from him. And so he finally agreed to do an interview with BBC on everything that was happening. Queen Elizabeth was alive during that time, and she was embarrassed because a toddler can read through this this interview. You guys are going to have a good time with me watching this. I'm going to do commentary, but we're going to gag, honey. Okay. Queen Elizabeth died, and her net worth was her estate rather was worth approximately $782 million. Okay. Which she left every penny to King Charles. Just King Charles. When we start doing a little bit of history on the royals, let me tell you, Queen Elizabeth was an evil motherfucker, but she, I liked how she got down. Believe it or not, we're gonna get into that though. You would think that another one of her sons was the favorite. Clearly, Charles was always the it seemed like her favorite, but still to this day they say it was another son. I don't want to get too much into detail because you guys know once I start, I can't stop. So let's get into this interview that Prince Andrew did on BBC News 3 years ago, and finally breaking his silence. Okay. So I love this interviewer. She's straight to the point. Out of all interviewers, he felt more comfortable with this woman. Hopefully I don't get popped. Yeah, she was pissed. She was embarrassed. She called this interview a fiasco. I mean, it's just, you guys, I watched some of it, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait till I watch all of it with my supporters or whatever. But I couldn't turn it off. I was hollering. Guys, let me know if it's an echo. All right, let's go.
Why have you decided to talk now?
Because there is no good time to talk about Mr. Epstein and all things associated. We've been talking to Newsnight for about 6 months about doing something around the work that I was doing. And unfortunately, we've just not been able to fit it into either your schedule or my schedule until now. And actually, it's a very good opportunity. And I'm delighted to be able to see you today.
As you say, all of this goes back to your friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. How did you first become friends? How did you meet?
Well, I met through his girlfriend back in 1999, who
Listen, y'all.
I'd known her since she was at university in the UK. And it would be, to some extent, a stretch to say that as it were, we were close friends. I mean, we were friends because of other people.
And listen. He's talking about, I think it's a stretch. Let me tell y'all something. These royals is a whole gag. You hear me? I be cracking up on the edge of my seat, okay? Their scandals are juicy. I love it. Okay, and they are shady than a motherfucker. You'd be surprised how much shade they be throwing. Okay, right in front of your eyes, but you can't read into it. No worries, I'm gonna teach you. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. He goes to me. I think it's a stretch that you said we're friends. How, son? How? You went over to that island every chance you got. Okay. When you were supposed to say goodbye, nigga, you went over there and stayed with Epstein for 4 fucking days. Okay? Yes, he did. He didn't fly in to say goodbye and come on back. This is the prince. They got their own personal jets. See, now he about to get dragged. Okay? But see, but here you go to friends. We wasn't close friends. That's a stretch. Lies.
Opportunity to go to the United States. But I didn't have much time with him. I suppose I saw him once or twice a year, perhaps maybe maximum of 3 times a year. And quite often, if I was in the United States and doing things, and if he wasn't there, he would say, well, why don't you come and use my houses? So I said, that's very kind. Thank you very much indeed. But it would be a considerable stretch to say that he was a very, very close friend. But he had the most extraordinary ability to bring extraordinary people together. And that's the bit that I remember, is going to the dinner parties where you would meet academics, politicians, people from the United Nations.
Lies, no. At the dinner parties when you was getting your chewies. Huh? When you was getting your feet massaged. That's what you was doing over there. Huh? Stop lying. You didn't go over there and meet no politician. These people, nobody was paying him any attention. What, we all thought that Queen Elizabeth had one son, which was Charles. It was Charles this, Charles that. And she had one daughter, which I still think is a bull dagger. Okay? I don't care if she's married or not. We'll drag her later too. Okay? Okay, yes, these royals are freaks. They are. They all got something wrong with them. Okay? I'm telling you, it ain't not one sane goddamn royal. Except for Harry. I think Harry is pretty normal. But what I think happened is he got some good pussy. And Harry ain't been the same since. Harry fucked up. Harry he's whipped. That lady running all over him, driving him crazy, but in just a good way. He under some spell, and it's obvious. But he was the one that I was rooting for. But when it comes to that Meghan, oh, you could tell she chained him down. She's she did the little fast thing with her tongue under his balls and everything. Oh God, you could see. You could see even when he look at her, you could see I think he doing like a little shimmy or something. Okay, we're going to talk about them too. Word around the royalty streets is that they are separated. Okay, Prince Harry is staying at a hotel, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So I'll stalk them later and see what's going on with that. But right now we're stalking him. Okay, Prince Andrew. Oh, I'm sorry, he was demoted. Okay, Duke of York. All right. Now he said, I went over to Epstein house to meet politicians. Why everybody going over his house that are having business meetings? Anybody ever thought about that? Huh? Of course they did. None of it made sense. Okay. No, you was over there getting your balls licked and shit like that did.
It was a cosmopolitan group of what I would describe as US eminence.
Lies.
Was that his appeal then? Was
Yeah.
that what you, because you were perceived by the public as being the party prince. Was that something
Well,
you
I
shared?
think that's also a bit of a stretch. I don't know why I've collected that title, because I never have really partied. I was single for quite a long time in the early 80s. But then after I got married, I was very happy.
Lies. He
I've
was
never really
abusive. Let
felt
me
the
tell
need
y'all
to go
something.
and
He was abusive to Fergie. Okay, he's an asshole. All right, and he probably like his asshole played with, because he was really mean and nasty to her, frustrated. She spent a lot of time home by herself. Okay, that's how her and Diana became friends. You see, Fergie used to be around there eating up all the food. Now, listen, those type of women, they marry for love. The princes didn't marry them for no goddamn love. They married them to have babies. They were selected to bear children and to stay put. Okay? That's aggravating me, because if you know what your job is, to just stay put and just have babies, you in a whole goddamn big palace. And the only thing you could do, Diana, was throw up. Huh? That's the only thing you could think about doing, is eating all that good royal food. The bitch was eating off a 24-karat gold plate. And you said, I miss Charles. This other one, I miss Andrew. Fuck them niggas. What? I just don't understand that. I just don't understand that. You married for love. They tell you, I mean, come on. You got to know what the plan is. Guess what? Prince Philip, Queen Elizabeth, husband. I mean, he was known to have affairs. Clock that. Hey, okay. Prince Philip had a lot of affairs, and Queen Elizabeth always turned her fucking head. You never see, I mean, maybe they had a little bit of disagreements and stuff, but Queen Elizabeth was so good at keeping her personal life private, she didn't even show you when she was pregnant. There's not one picture of Queen Elizabeth big and pregnant. Not one. Prince Philip used to go overseas, used to spend a lot of time on the water. His favorite place, I think, was the Philippines. Oh, yes. He is the one, I think that the first Filipino was the one that said to him, love me long time, in the 40s. Yeah. So, but Queen Elizabeth knew what came with that. She can't be around her husband all the fucking time. She's a fucking queen. These women married these royal men. First of all, Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth is the one who chose these women to begin with. Okay? This is why Charles couldn't love Diana. America and the world, okay? I mean, because she was like versatile. I mean, people in the United States, you motherfuckers don't pretty much know Fergie. I mean, you know Fergie probably because of the scandal, but you don't know the other brothers who their wives is and stuff like that. But everybody knew Princess Diana. Right? Charles never loved her. He always loved that monster face lady that he's married to now. He never loved her. And it showed. He wasn't compassionate for her or anything. And because that's because Diana did not understand that it was a business deal. You know who the best, in my opinion, who's the best business married partners? Jay-Z and Beyonce. Yeah. Now they probably, I think they fell in love later on down the line because it just works. That's Queen Bee. That's Hove. Who else is he going to be with? You get what I'm saying? But the best. And he keep Maya on the side. But that's a whole different show. I promise to God, that little girl Blue, not only is Blue named after Jay-Z's ex, which is Blue Cantrell, she acts just like Aaliyah. That little girl remind me of Aaliyah every time I see it, but that's a whole different show. And let me stop because I'm not going to be able to keep going. But yeah, so Diana, she thought this was Cinderella. Mm-hmm. She thought she fit the shoe. Yeah, you fit the shoe. Your body, your ovaries fit the shoe. This is not Disney. This is the real thing, nigga. She thought the prince fell in love. So, that's why she wasn't as happy as she was. And she started, who sits around a goddamn pile of thinking about throwing up? Only one that picked up weight is Fergie. Fergie said, fuck this. Fergie was married to this nigga right here. He never was home. She ain't give a fuck. Fergie start fucking the goddamn maintenance man. Huh? The man was sitting there in the goddamn mowing the lawn with his shirt off. She said, goddamn Hector, fuck that. I'm going to get laid. You hear me? She ate all that food. They had to tell her to go on a diet and all that stuff. Fergie enjoyed herself while Diana sat in the house crying. Let's keep listening.
Party, and certainly going to Jeffrey's was not about partying. Absolutely not.
Bullshit.
You weren't very good friends, but would you just describe him as a good friend? Did you
not
trust
about
him?
partying.
Yes, I think I probably did. But again, I don't go into a friendship looking for the wrong thing, if you understand what I mean. I'm an engaging person. I want to be able to engage. I want to find out. I want to learn. And so you have to remember that I was transitioning out of the Navy at the time. And in the transition, I wanted to find out more about what was going on, because in the Navy, it's a pretty isolated business because you're out at sea the whole time. And I was going to become the special representative for international trade and investment. So I wanted to know more about what was going on in the international business world. And so that was another reason for going there. And the opportunities that I had to go to Wall Street and other places to learn whilst I was there were absolutely vital.
He was your guest as well. In 2000, Epstein was a guest at Windsor Castle and at Sandringham. He was brought right into the heart of the royal family at your invitation.
But,
let's go.
Certainly at my invitation, not at the royal family's invitation. But remember that it was his girlfriend.
Not the royal family, mine. Okay, I need you to focus back on me. I took the hit. You get what I'm saying? This is my scandal. Please do not include my mother, my father, my brothers. Don't include anybody else, because I need to get home. And fucking around with them, I get on a goddamn plane, that shit'll go down. Like my uncle. We're going to talk about him too. Okay? Another rebel. I think I talked about him already, but we're going to bring him back. Okay? His plane went down. Fuck with them. You see how he had to look? And you got to look. I'm going to go back a little bit. I want you to look at his eyeballs. His eyeballs went up and down. Body language is important. Bitch, what the fuck wrong with you? Hell no. That wasn't invited by everybody. Just me, motherfucker. Trying to get me murked out here. Look at his eyes. Yeah, that's what he did. He looked up and down. Look at him. Look. look.
Whilst I was there, were absolutely vital.
He was your guest as well. In 2000, Epstein was a guest at Windsor Castle and at Sandringham. He was brought right into the heart of the royal family at your invitation.
But certainly at my invitation, not at the royal family's invitation. But remember that it was his girlfriend that was the key element in this. he was the, as it were, +1 to some extent in that aspect.
Am I right in thinking you threw a birthday party for Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Sandringham?
Listen.
No, it was a shooting weekend.
A shooting weekend.
Just a straightforward shooting weekend.
But during these times that he was a guest at Windsor Castle at Sandringham, the shooting weekend,
Yep.
we now know that he was and had been procuring young girls for sex trafficking.
Let's go.
We now know that. At the time, there was no indication to me
Lies.
or anybody else that that was what he was doing. And
Bloody
certainly,
lies.
when I saw him either in the United States, well, no, when I saw him in the United States, or when I was staying in his houses in the United States, there was no indication, absolutely no indication. And if there was,
Lies.
you have to remember that at the time, I was patron of the NSPCC's Full Stop campaign. So I was close up with what was going on in those time about getting rid of abuse to children. So I knew what the things were to look for, but I never saw them.
So you would have made that connection because you stayed with him, you were a visitor, a guest on many occasions at his homes, and nothing struck you as suspicious.
Nothing.
During that whole
Lies.
time.
Nothing.
Just for the record, you've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Look,
Yes.
listen.
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach.
Yes.
You visited Ghislaine Maxwell's house in Belgravia in London.
Yes.
So in 2006, in May,
Well, let's stop
an
there.
arrest warrant was
Now, did
issued
you
for
hear?
Epstein.
She named all the places that he stayed with Epstein. Did you hear him? But they weren't friends? They weren't close friends? I'm confused. Because I can understand if you went to a function once, a dinner party, but I'm still trying to figure out why him. But let's just say, for instance, he was hosting a political party. I can understand you and your wife, or you and another royal, going in attendance to this sit down. No other royal fuck with this nigga. Nobody. His brothers, none of them. Just him. So you flew on this jet, went to his house in Palm Beach. You went to the island a couple times. You went to his house in New York. And y'all wasn't close friends. And you didn't, nothing strikes you as strange.
For sexual assault of a minor.
Yes.
In July, he was invited to Windsor Castle to your daughter, Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday. Why would you do that?
Because I was asking Ghislaine.
Oh
But
my
even
God.
so, at the time, I
A
don't think
pervert.
certainly I wasn't aware when the invitation was issued what was going on in the United States. And I wasn't aware until the media picked up on it, because he never said anything about it.
He never discussed with you the
never
fact
discussed it.
that an arrest warrant had been
No.
issued.
Wow.
So he came to that party knowing police were investigating him.
Well, I'm not quite sure whether was it police that I don't know. You see, this is the
It
problem.
was the
I
Palm
really
Beach
don't know.
police at the time.
But I mean, I'm afraid, you see, this is the problem. Is that an awful lot of this was going on in the United States, and I wasn't a party to it, and I knew nothing about it.
Lies.
In 2008, he was convicted of
Yep.
soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution. He was jailed. This was
Yes.
your friend. How
Yes.
did you feel about it?
Mhm.
Well, I ceased contact with him after I was aware that he was under investigation.
Lies.
And that was later on in 2006. And I wasn't in touch with him again until 2010. So it was one of those things that if somebody's going through that sort of thing, well, I'm terribly sorry, I can't be.
So no
associated.
contact?
No contact.
When he was serving time, there was no
No.
call, no letter, nothing there.
No.
He was released in July. Within months, by December of 2010, you went to stay with him at his New York mansion Why? Why were you staying with a convicted sex offender?
Right. I have always, ever since this has happened, and since this has become, as it were, public knowledge that I was there, I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do? Now, I went there with the sole purpose of saying to him that because he had been convicted, it was inappropriate for us to be seen together. And I had a number of people counsel me in both directions, either to go and see him or not to go and see him. And I took the judgment call that because this was serious, and I felt that doing it over the telephone was the chicken's way of doing it. I had to go and see him and talk to him.
Lies.
And I went to see him.
The block was hot.
And I was doing a number of other things in New York at the time.
Doing what?
We had an opportunity to
what
go
was you doing? Huh? What was you doing? Because who sent you there? Who sent you there? Stop lying. Why? See what I'm saying? Listen, Charles was the soon-to-be king. When Elizabeth needed to send people to certain places, nobody sent this motherfucker. That's why he had so much time on his hand to go to the island. Now, who the fuck sent him to New York? He just so happened to be in New York. Doing what? What was he doing? What was he doing? You went there to go see. He's sitting up there, and I believe him. He was fucking Epstein too. Him, Epstein, and Maxwell. They was around there having threesomes. That's what I believe. They was all into some freak activities. You could look right. He got that look in his eye. He creepy. Look how they talk. Let's look at this picture again. Let's see here. What's going on? You could tell this motherfucker. Epstein was into all sort of fucking shit. Look at that picture. Somebody digging up somebody's ass. Let me look at this picture again. Maxwell's she's a sick bitch too. Look. Even his younger years, you could tell. He looked high there. They was snorting and doing all sort of fucking shit. Stop lying. Somebody, he was there. He was already in New York. Who sent you there? Who sent you? Nobody. You're royal, it don't matter. Stop lying.
And that was the conversation, coincidentally, that was photographed, which was when I said to him, I said, look, because of what has happened, I don't think it is appropriate that we should remain in contact. And by mutual agreement during that walk in the park,
y'all, he stayed there for 4 days.
Company, and I left, I think it was the next day. And to this day, I never had any contact with him from that day forward.
What did he say when you told him that you were breaking up the friendship?
He was what I would describe as understanding. He didn't go into any great depth in the conversation about what I was doing or what he was doing, except to say that he'd accepted whatever it was, a plea bargain. He'd served his time, and he was carrying on with his life. You see what I mean? And I said yes, but I'm afraid to say that's as may be. But with all the attendant scrutiny on me, then I don't think it is a wise thing to do.
Who advised you then that it was a good idea to go and break up the friendship? Did that come from the palace? Was Her Majesty the Queen involved?
No. That came from, so there were a number of people so some people from my staff, some people from friends and family I was talking to, and I took the decision that it was, I had to show leadership and I had to go.
Exactly,
and
the same person.
That's it.
The reason why you had to be in New York.
Yep.
He threw a party to celebrate his release, and you were invited as the guest of honor.
Oh, In 2010, that certainly wasn't a party to celebrate his release in December, because it was a small dinner party. There were only 8 or 10 of us, I think, at the dinner. If there was a party, then I'd know nothing about that.
You were invited to that dinner as a guest of honor.
Well, I was there, so there was a dinner. I don't think it was quite as you might put it, but yeah, okay, I was there for
I'm just trying to work this out, because you said you went to break up the relationship, and yet you stayed at that New York mansion several days.
Several days.
But I was doing a number of other things while I was there.
But you were staying at the house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay. I mean, I've gone through this in my mind so many times. At the end of the day, with the benefit of all the hindsight that one could have, it was definitely the wrong thing to do. But at the time, I felt it was the honourable and right thing to do. And I admit fully that my judgment was probably coloured by my tendency to be too honourable, but that's just the way it is.
What? Because during that time, those few days, witnesses say they saw many young girls coming and going at the time. There is video footage of Epstein accompanied by young girls.
This is all.
And you were there staying in his house, catching up with friends.
I mean, if they were, then I wasn't a party to any of that. I never saw them. I mean, you have to understand that his house, I described it more as almost as a railway station, if you know what I mean, in the sense that there were people coming in and out of that house all the time. What they were doing and why they were there, I had nothing to do. So I can't make any comment on that, because I really don't know.
Another guest was John Brockman, the literary agent. Now, he described seeing you there, getting a foot massage from a young Russian woman.
Now, wait a minute. Look at this fake shit, right? So she says a name, right? So he looks like, it's not a look of who you talking about? You get what I'm saying? Now, motherfuckers, now I love saying or giving the expression of who the fuck is that? You get what I'm saying? Because that hurt motherfuckers' feelings. I love it. I love doing that shit. People get mad as a motherfucker. Who the fuck are you? You know who I am? No, I don't. So I'm good at that. You know what I mean? But when it comes to this guy, his expression wasn't, who the fuck is that? It was a shock. Now, look at this face. Bruh, this is not sincere. Okay? Listen here. He said he went there, okay? This is during this time. He went there to break up the friendship. While breaking up the friendship, he stays there in Epstein's house for a couple days. Somebody at the dinner party said they spotted him getting a foot massage. Okay? But he don't know the person. Take a look at this facial expression. It's not of, I don't know him.
Seeing you there, getting a foot massage from a young Russian woman. Did that happen?
No.
You're absolutely sure, or you can't remember?
Absolutely sure.
So John Brockman's statement is false.
Well, I don't know Mr. Brockman, so I don't know what he's talking about.
But that definitely wasn't you getting a foot massage from a Russian girl in Jeffrey Epstein's house.
No.
It might seem a funny way to break off a friendship, a 4-day house party of sorts with a dinner. It's an odd way to break up a friendship. It's a difficult way of putting it.
That's a very stark way of putting it. Yes, you're absolutely right. But actually, the truth of it is that I actually only saw him for about the dinner party, the walk in the park, and probably passing in the passage.
So let's go to that Central Park walk, which was snapped. Friends of yours suggest that Epstein wanted that photo taken. Perhaps he'd even set it up. Do you worry that you were being played?
Again, new information's coming out since his suicide has made us reappraise that walk in the park. We can't find any evidence, or my staff and my people and I can't find any evidence to suggest that that was what he was doing. I mean, you can look at it in so many different ways.
Let's look at it on the screen, guys. This is what they talking about.
Somebody very cleverly took that photograph. It wasn't, as far as I remember, nor do my security people remember anybody being present or close, because there were enough security around. I mean, there are even photographs of the security people are around in the photo. So I mean, he could have done, but
yeah. I guess what I'm asking is, do you feel that you were part of Epstein's?
First of all, let me say this. He know that to be a fact that it wasn't set up. They set it up together. I mean, he knows for a fact that Epstein didn't set it up by himself. That's something that they both set up. Okay. First of all, this is my take. I think that, well, first of all, the prince can't go anywhere without people knowing. And Queen Elizabeth got everything told to her. Okay. She knew where her kids were at all times, up to the day she died. Okay. It doesn't work like that. So during this time, Epstein was in a lot of hot water. Okay. And so I think being this type of person is a sickness. When you have those kind of desires, it's a sickness. When you, especially when you have, it don't even have to be, adolescent. It could be just be sexually aroused, just have a high sex drive or whatever. But that lifestyle, getting high, party. I mean, they had balls and balls of fun. You get what I'm saying? By him being used to that, he's now, his mom probably told him and advised and all of that other stuff, that governance that they have over there probably was like, listen, you're done with Epstein. This can hurt our image. You get what I'm saying? We don't want you to take any more parts of that. So I believe that he wanted to get one last party in. Okay. He can't go to New York or anywhere in the States or anywhere for that matter without people knowing, his people knowing. So I think that they arranged this picture to be taken more for Queen Elizabeth and the officials in the UK. Hey, I'm just going over there to whatever, or maybe he even gave an excuse that he was somewhere else, or he did tell, the government officials, hey, I'm going over there to talk to Epstein while I'm there for whatever. But I think that he wanted to show that he was having this conversation in the public versus not in the private, if that makes sense. Oh, it was really nothing, because anybody could have walked by. Anybody could have ran by and heard our conversation. So it's not like, it was anything in private. I don't have anything to do with what's going on. I didn't go up there to see any adolescents. I didn't go there to party, So this is more for basically to what I just said. In my opinion, I do not think that Epstein set this up. I believe that Epstein knew, of course. And so did the prince. Okay. It was all planned, orchestrated.
No, funny enough, I don't. No. I mean, if he was doing, if that photograph was taken with that purpose in mind, then it doesn't equate to what actually happened.
So why wouldn't you announce this breakup when you got back? Why wouldn't you publicly explain what you'd done? Did you worry that he had something that could compromise you?
No.
Do you regret that trip?
Yes.
Do you regret the whole friendship with Epstein?
Now, still not, and the reason being is that the people that I met,
Wow.
and the opportunities that I was given to learn, either by him or because of him, were actually very useful. He himself.
That's a strange way to put that. Why not just say, hey, I regret meeting him. I met some good people along the way. That would have been a better PR response to that. To say, no, he doesn't regret, that is showing that he has some sort of emotional feeling for him to say that. Oh my God. What about, he lied about everything else? You should have said, that would have been more appeasing and pull heartstrings of the public, the masses. I do regret, and that is showing some sort of sympathy for the victims. I do regret meeting him, but I do not regret meeting the good business people I met along the way. This dick, you see what I'm saying? Oh God, Queen Elizabeth was embarrassed. They said, guys, after this,
as it were, as close as you might think. We weren't that close. So therefore, I mean, yes, I would go and stay in his house, but that was because of his girlfriend, not because of him.
Was that visit, December of 2010, the only time you saw him after he was convicted?
Yes.
Did you
That's a good analogy,
see him or
Jess.
speak to him again?
No, that was that.
Never
Funny enough,
since
2010 was it. That was it, because I went
to show
first
some
of all,
form of public
I wanted
punishment
to make sure that
to the masses, probably.
If I was going to go and see him, I had to make sure that there was enough time between his release, because it wasn't something that I was going into in a hurry, but I had to go and see him. I had to go and see him. I
And
had to
stay with him and stay in the house.
I
with
could
him.
easily have gone and stayed somewhere else, but sheer convenience of being able to get a hold of the man was. I mean,
This is a prince.
He was in and out all over the place. So, getting him in one place for a period of time to actually have a long enough conversation to say, look, these are the reasons why I'm not going to, and that happened on the walk.
July of this year, Epstein was arrested on charges of sex trafficking and abusing dozens of underage girls. One of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made allegations against you. She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you, danced with you at Tramp nightclub in London. She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend. Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
She says she met you in 2001. She dined with you. She danced with you. You bought her drinks. You're in Tramp nightclub in London. And she went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Didn't happen.
Do you remember her?
No. I have no recollection of ever meeting her. I'm almost, in fact, I'm convinced.
Let me tell y'all something. Every last one of these royals and rich people kids and stuff, you do know it's always like a bad seed. Okay, even though it's not presented to the public, you find out later on if they make a movie about them, or you know, if something happens, then shit comes out. Okay, but for the most part, powerful people keep their kids protected as far as embarrassment and inside personal stuff and all of that other stuff. You get what I'm saying? So it is, I think it's about 5 of them. 5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken. I have to, oh God, I forgot how many kids Queen Elizabeth. So 3, 4, 5. It's 5. 4 boys, 1 girl. Okay. Out of one of them, you know it's a trouble kid. You know it's a druggie. You know it's always a problem kid out of the crew. So you mean to tell me You don't have no recollection of this. The only way that you could get away with not remembering anything is if you was high, too high or too drunk.
That I was never in tramps with her. There are a number of things that are wrong with that story. One of which is that I don't know where the bar is in tramps. I don't drink.
Lies.
I don't think I've ever bought a drink in tramps whenever I was there.
You're the prince. You get sent it. They sent it to you. Like what?
No,
what is?
That couldn't have happened because the date that is being suggested, I was at home with the children.
You know that you were at home with the children. Was it a memorable night?
On that particular day that we now understand is the date, which is the 10th of March, I was at home. I was with the children. I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party at I suppose sort of 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
And then,
because the Duchess was away, we have a simple rule in the family that when one's away, the other one's there. I was on terminal leave at the time from the Royal Navy, so therefore I was at home.
Why would you remember that so specifically? Why would you remember a Pizza Express birthday and being at home?
Because going to Pizza Express in Woking is an unusual thing for me to do. A very unusual thing for me to do. I've only been through Woking a couple of times, and I remember it weirdly, distinctly. As soon as somebody reminded me of it, I went, oh yes, I remember that. But I have no recollection of ever meeting or being in the company or the presence.
So you're absolutely sure that you're at home on the 10th of March. Yeah. She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't.
Lies. He's sweating in this picture. Look at him. Look.
Yes, I didn't sweat at the time.
Look at him. Look, he's sweating right here.
Had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at.
Oh my God!
I simply, it was almost impossible for me to sweat, and it's only because I have done a number of things
Royals is a mess,
in the recent past that I'm starting to be able to do that again. So I'm afraid to say that there's a medical condition that says that I didn't do it. So therefore,
is it possible that you met Virginia Roberts, dined with her, danced with her in Tramp, had sex with her on another date?
No.
Lies.
Do you remember meeting her at all?
No.
Do you know you didn't meet her, or do you just not remember meeting her?
No, I have. I don't know if I've met her, but no, I have no recollection of meeting her.
Because she was very specific. She described the dance that you had together in Tramp. She described meeting you. She was a 17-year-old girl meeting a senior member of the royal family.
Never happened.
Explain the picture.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
Your arm was around her waist.
Yes.
We got it. We got it. Look.
How do you explain that?
Explain it.
I can't.
He can't. Look.
Because I have absolutely no memory of that photograph ever being taken.
Do you recognize yourself in the photo?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult not to recognize yourself.
Unbelievable.
Your friend suggested that the photo is fake.
How?
I think it's from the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not. Because
pause. Let's stop here. Let's stop it. This was taken with I believe a Polaroid. This is a picture of a picture. Okay, that's what they said. Look, he even looked younger. Unbelievable. And what would be you know what? Stop. So it's believed to be made up, but then they still settled out of court. Stop it.
Photograph of a photograph.
Oh my God.
So it's very difficult to be able to prove it. But I don't remember that photograph ever being taken.
But it's possible that it was you with your arm around
That's
her waist.
me, but whether that's my hand or whether that's the position, I have simply no recollection of a photograph ever being taken.
The world has now seen the photo that
Mhm.
Virginia Roberts provided, taken by Epstein, we understand, in
Mhm.
Ghislaine Maxwell's house.
Well, here's the problem. I've never seen Epstein with a camera in my life.
I think it was Virginia Roberts' camera. She said a little Kodak one that she lent to Epstein. He took a photo, and your arm is round her waist.
I don't remember that photograph ever being taken. I don't remember going upstairs in the house, because that photograph is taken upstairs.
You know what?
I'm not entirely convinced that, I mean, that is what I would describe as me in that picture, but we can't be certain as to whether or not that's my hand on her whatever it is, left side.
You think that...
Because I have no recollection of that photograph ever being taken.
So why would somebody have put in another hand? You think it is you next to her in the photo?
Oh, it's definitely me. I mean, that's a picture of me. It's not a picture of. I don't believe it's a picture of me in London, because when I go out in London, I wear a suit and a tie. That's what I would describe as, those are my traveling clothes if I'm going overseas. So I've got plenty of photographs of me dressed in those sorts of kit, but not there.
Just to clarify, so you think that photo has been faked?
Nobody can prove whether or not that photograph has been doctored, but I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken.
And you don't recollect having your hand
No.
round her waist
No.
in Ghislaine Maxwell's house on any occasion, even if it was a different
I'm terribly
date?
sorry, but if I, as a member of the royal family, and I have a photograph taken, and I take very, very few photographs, I am not one to, as it were, hug, and public displays of affection are not something that I do. So that's the best explanation I can give you, and I'm afraid to say that I don't believe that photograph was taken in the way that has been suggested.
Why would people not believe that you were there?
I'm sorry, why would?
I'm just trying to understand. There's a photo inside Ghislaine Maxwell's house. Ghislaine herself is in the background.
Let's look at it
Why
again.
would
Let's look
people
at it.
not believe that you were there with her that night?
Well, they might well wish to believe it, but the photograph is taken upstairs, and I don't think I ever went upstairs in Ghislaine's house.
You're sure of that?
Yeah, because the dining room and everything was on the ground floor. It was as you came in the hall. So I don't remember ever going up there. I'm at a loss to explain this particular photograph. If the original was ever produced, then perhaps we might be able to solve it. But I can't.
You can say categorically that you don't recall meeting Virginia Roberts, dining with her, dancing with her at Tramp, or going on to have sex with her in a bedroom in a house in Belgravia.
I can absolutely categorically tell you it never happened.
Do you recall any kind of sexual contact with Virginia Roberts then or any other time?
None whatsoever.
Because she said in a legal deposition, a legal court document in 2015, she had sex with you 3 times. She is not confused about this. She said the first was in London when she was trafficked to you. The second was at Epstein's mansion in New York.
That is a date in April, I believe. Is that correct?
She said it was a month or so later.
Yeah. Well, I think that the date that we have for that shows that I was in Boston. I was in New York the previous day, and I was at a dinner for the Outward Bound Trust in New York, and then I flew up to Boston the following day. And then on the day that she says
To do what?
this occurred, they'd
Who?
already left to go to the island before I got back from Boston. So I don't think that could have happened at all.
There was a witness there, Johanna Stolberg, who says that you did visit the house in that month.
Ooh, wee!
I probably did. I don't think I was staying with the because of what I was doing. I was staying with the Consul General, which is further down the street.
Listen to
it. So I wasn't staying there. I may have visited, but no, definitely didn't. Definitely no activity.
Because in a legal deposition, 2015, she said she had sex with you 3 times. Once in a London house when she was trafficked to you in Maxwell's house.
Yes.
Once in New York, a month or so later at Epstein's mansion, and once on his private island in a group of 7 or 8 other girls.
No.
No to all of it.
All of it.
So
Absolutely no to all of it.
Why would she be saying those things?
Mm-hmm.
We
a lefty, like
wonder exactly the same, but I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
She made these claims in a US deposition.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying you don't believe her? She's lying.
That's a very difficult thing to answer, because I'm not in a position to know what she's trying to achieve, but I can tell you categorically, I don't remember meeting her at all. I do not remember a photograph being taken, and I've said consistently and frequently that we never had any sort of sexual contact whatever.
Yes.
She spoke about you outside the court in August of this year.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I quote, "He knows exactly what he's done, and I hope he comes clean about it."
And the answer is nothing.
So if Virginia Roberts is watching this interview, what is your message to her?
I don't have a message for her, because I have to have a thick skin. If somebody's going to make those sorts of
oh my God. See, you know what? That was about to be the best answer in this whole entire interview. What do you have to say to Virginia so-and-so? Nothing. I have nothing to say to her. Okay? Just that. Now he's going into, because I have to have thick skin. Why is that the reason why you don't have nothing to? Listen, if you were going to stick by that story, she just making it up. I have nothing to say to her. Or seek mental. Maybe she should seek mental help. You get what I'm saying? Because I have to have. What the fuck? I can't believe it was easy probably to snatch his crown. Easy. Okay. He done did so much fucking drugs and alcohol in his life. He's just all fucked up.
Happened.
For the record, is there any way you could have had sex with that young woman or any young woman trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein in any of his residences?
No. And without putting too fine a point on it, if you're a man, it is a positive act to have sex with somebody. You have to take some sort of positive action. And so therefore, if you try to forget, it's very difficult to try and forget positive action. And I do not remember anything. I've racked my brain and thinking, oh, well, when the allegations came out originally, I went, well, that's a bit strange. I don't remember this. And then I've been through it and through it and through it over and over and over again. And no, nothing. Never happened.
Epstein's housekeeper, also in a Florida court legal deposition, said that you visited the Palm Beach residence around 4 times a year. You got a daily massage.
4 times a year?
That was what he said in a Florida court legal deposition. I'm just wondering, when you look back now, is there a chance that those massages might have been the services of someone who was being sexually exploited or trafficked by Epstein?
No. I don't think, I mean, no, definitely not. Definitely not. And I definitely did not visit his Palm Beach house 3 or 4 times a year. Absolutely not.
How many times would you say you visited?
In total, probably 4 times in total throughout the time that I knew him. In fact, probably that was the place that if you see what I mean, he was in the house more there than in other places that I was.
So that's where you'd find him.
But it was usually because I was going through and on somewhere else. So it was a day. That was it.
You said in your statement from the
He was
palace,
just stopping
at
by.
no time did I see, witness, or suspect any suspicious behavior.
Yeah.
Virginia Roberts' legal team says you could not spend time around Epstein and not know what was going on.
Correct.
You could not spend time around Epstein and not know what was going on.
If you are somebody like me, then people behave in a subtly different way. You wouldn't, first of all, I'm not looking for it. That's the thing. Is if you're looking for it, then you might have suspected now, with the benefit of a huge amount of hindsight and a huge amount of analysis, you look back and you go, well, was that really the way that it was, or was I looking at it the wrong way? But you don't go into these places, you don't go to stay with people looking for that.
You could not spend time around him. That was what they said. You could not spend time around him and not know.
The other aspect of this is that I live in an institution at Buckingham Palace which has members of staff walking around all the time, and I don't wish to appear grand, but there were a lot of people who were walking around Jeffrey Epstein's house. As far as I was aware, they were staff. They were people that were working for him, doing things. As it were, I interacted with them, if you want me to say good morning, good afternoon, but I didn't, if you see what I mean, interact with them in a way that was, what are you doing here? Why are you here? What's going on?
But you'd notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Buckingham Palace,
God.
wouldn't you?
But sorry, you would notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Jeffrey's house. Wasn't there. Not when I was there. Now, he may have changed his behavior.
Lies.
In order for that not to be obvious to me. So I don't know. I mean, this is, you're asking me to speculate on things that I just don't know about.
You seem utterly convinced you're telling the truth. Would you be willing to testify or give a statement under oath if you were asked?
Well, I'm like everybody else, and I would have to take all the legal advice that there was before I was to do that sort of thing. But if push came to shove, and the legal advice was to do so, then I would be duty bound to do so.
Because you've said there are many unanswered questions.
Yep.
Everyone affected wants closure. You would help to provide that closure.
If in the right circumstances, yes, I would, because I think there's just as much closure for me as there is for everybody else, and undoubtedly, some very strange and unpleasant activities have been going on. I'm afraid to say that I'm not the person who can shed light on it for a number of reasons. One of which is that I wasn't there long enough. But if you go in for a day, 2 days at a time, it's quite easy, I'm led to believe, for those sorts of people to hide their activities for that period of time and then carry on when you're not there.
Virginia Roberts' lawyers, legal team, say that they've asked for a legal statement from you. There is an active FBI investigation now. Would you be willing to provide that?
Again, I'm bound by what my legal advice legal advisors tell me.
Epstein was found dead.
Yep.
In prison.
Yes.
Talk
in
about
August of this year.
Yep.
What was your response on hearing that he'd died?
Shock.
Some people think that he didn't take his own life.
Well, there again, I'm not one to be able to answer that question. I believe that centers around something to do with a bone in his neck. Whether or not
he'll want to be next.
Commit suicide, that bone breaks or something. But I'm afraid to say I'm not an expert. I have to take what the coroner says, and he has ruled that it was suicide. So
he's dead. His girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, your old friend, was, victims say, complicit in his behaviour.
Well, that bit I can't help you with because I've no idea.
Do you think that she has questions to answer about her role in this?
Well, in the same way that I have questions to answer, in the sense of what was I doing, and as I say, that I was there to my mind, be honourable and say to him, look, you've been convicted. It would be incompatible for me to be seen with you. Unfortunately, somebody was standing around with a camera at the time and got a photograph of us. It's one of the very few photographs.
Not. I can't be associated with that because it's disgusting. It's nasty. You know, not that I can't be seen with you. What?
Of us, but that was the case. If there are questions that Ghislaine has to answer, that's her problem. I'm afraid I'm not in a position to be able to comment one way or the other.
When was your last contact with her?
It was earlier this year, funny enough, in the summer, in the summer.
About what?
She was here doing some rally.
So even though he had by then been arrested and was facing charges of sex trafficking?
No. This was early spring, I think. It was long, because when was he arrested?
July.
No, it was before July.
And that was the last time?
Yeah.
Did you discuss Epstein at all then?
No, actually, funnily enough, no, not at all. There wasn't anything to discuss about him because he wasn't in the news. It wasn't, it was just, we'd moved on.
I want to talk about moving on now.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Epstein is dead.
Yes.
The women are now being heard.
Quite rightly.
How do you move on from this?
Well, it's an interesting way of putting it. I'm carrying on with what I do.
What's that?
Have a number of things that I have been doing since 2011. They're pretty well organized, pretty successful, and so I'm carrying on and trying to improve those things that I'm already doing.
I wonder what effect all this has had on your close family. You've got daughters of your own.
Mm-hmm.
It has been what I would describe as a constant sore in the family. We all knew him. And I think that if we have a conversation about it, we're all left with the same thing of what on earth happened? Why? How did he get to where he was? What did he do? How did he do it? And so it's just a constant sort of gnaw. I mean, this first came out in 2011, and it was a surprise to all of us because the photographs were published at a separate time to when I was there, and then was sort of a question about what was going on, and as a family we discussed it. And then in 2015, when the allegations were made in the deposition, there was a sort of this is the immediate family, not the wider family. The wider family couldn't be more supportive. But the immediate family, it was, well, what's all this about? And we all just, we're at a loss. So it's just.
Has the episode been damaging to the royal family, to Her Majesty the Queen?
I don't believe it's been damaging to the Queen at all. Has to me, and it's been a constant drip, if you see what I mean, in the background that people want to know. If I was in a position to be able to answer all these questions in a way that gave sensible answers, other than the ones that I've given that gave closure, then I'd love it. But I'm afraid I can't. I'm just not in a position to do so, because I'm just as much in the dark as many people.
How do you reconnect with the public then now?
But exactly what I'm doing, which is to use and to continue to work with pitch, to continue to work with idea and the things that I believe strongly in. I'm not somebody who does things in competition with people. Oddly, I do things in collaboration with people. So I want people to work together to come to, as it were, a solution to a bigger problem.
Whatever purpose.
So we've got a number of people working together, particularly in the education field, particularly and also
schools,
in areas of government and what they are doing, so that we're bringing everybody together, so that we're all pushing in the same direction. An idea now does that. We've been going properly now for 2 years. We've got 3.5 million people who've got a badge. We've got 500,000, or just over 500,000 young people who are using the service. And I'm trying to think what else we've got, but it's well, it's designed for 7 to 14-year-olds in the United Kingdom, and it turns out it's done from 5 to 95 around the world. So it's being done in 100 countries now. So we're slightly on the catch up for this one.
I know we have to bring this to a close because we're running out of time. You've faced questions today on a very, very raw subject. There has never been an interview like this before. I wonder what that tells us about the way the royal family now confronts these difficult situations. Has there been a sea change?
I think that the problem that we face in the 21st century is social media. There is a whole range of
media
things
outlets
that you face now that you didn't face
cameras everywhere.
It was just the print media, and I think that to some extent there is a thick skin that you have to have. And again, I'm not a confrontationalist myself. I would prefer to be able to, as it were, resolve things in a way that is sensible.
Just kill them. Oh, okay.
And so choosing to, as it were, get out there and talk about these things, it's almost a mental health issue to some extent for me. In the sense that it's been nagging at my mind for a great many years. I know that I made the wrong judgment and I made the wrong decision, but I made the wrong decision and the wrong judgment, I believe, fundamentally for the right reasons, which is to say to somebody, I'm not going to see you again. And in fact, from that day forth, I was never in contact with him. The subsequent allegations are what I would describe as surprising, shocking, and a distraction. But that's, I mean, there are all sorts of things that are on the internet and out there in the public domain that we just sort of go, well, yeah, but I'm afraid this is, just never happened.
You've talked about a thick skin. I wonder if you have any sense now of guilt, regret, or shame about any of your behaviour and your friendship with that person?
As far as Mr. Epstein is concerned, it was the wrong decision to go and see him in 2010. As far as my association with him was concerned, it had some seriously beneficial outcomes in areas that have nothing to do with what I described as what we're talking about today.
I bet it did, huh? Free.
On balance, could I have avoided ever meeting him? Probably not.
Saved by mommy.
And that's because of my friendship with Glenn. It was inevitable that we would have come across each other. Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes. Unbecoming.
He was a sex offender.
Thank you.
In the sense that he was a sex offender, but no.
Exactly.
Was I right in having him as a friend at the time? And bearing in mind this was some years before he was accused of being a sex offender. I don't think there was anything wrong then. The problem was the fact that once he had been convicted,
you stayed with him.
I stayed with him, and that's the bit that as it were, I kick myself for on a daily basis, because it was not something that was becoming of a member of the royal family. And we try and uphold the highest standards and practices, and I let the side down. Simple as that.
This interview has been exceptionally rare. You might not speak on this subject again. Is there anything you feel has been left unsaid that you would like to say?
Y'all, I'm huffing and puffing. Hold on.
Probably dragged out most of what is required, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity that you've given me to be able to discuss this with you.
Your Royal Highness, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Your Royal Highness, huh? Child. Yo, I was sitting back here all this time, corn rolling my I don't have no hair, y'all. Okay. Completely bald, but unfortunately, I don't have a perm, so, and it's hot, so I have to keep my hair in braids. So I was sitting here moisturizing my fro, okay, and braiding it back. So that's why I was huffing and puffing, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but not having a perm is a motherfucker, okay? Is a motherfucker, okay? So anyway, it was like literally a project, straight out washing. Y'all gonna have to go to the natural hair channel, girls channels, and try to make it easier. They don't work for me. I just trouble. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I get a kick out of these scandals and stuff like that. In my opinion, I be thinking that Hollywood mock their scandals. I believe that some movies are get their ideas from what could be going on with the royals. I mean, it's royal families everywhere, but this is the most the most popular. It's a lot that is going on other than this, and if you are into the royals, then if you're not, then either look it up or come back for my next show. Tomorrow we're going to get into let's see what I have here. All right, we're going to get into the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. I can't say. Yes, I cracked myself up. Okay, yes, I laugh at my own speech impediment, but I love me, y'all. I love me some me. But anyway, so we're going to talk about Prince Harry. All right, and it's rumors of them being divorced or getting divorced. It's trouble in paradise. I think every marriage has its ups and downs. So it wouldn't surprise me if they are. But of course, because they are royals and celebrities, if you ask me, this is what Harry prefers to just be royal. I think that it wasn't his intention to for his marriage to end up like it is. But on Megan's side of things, she came from Hollywood. She stars in a movie already. Well, not stars, but she was in that Hollywood mix. So I think that her whole goal was the fame of it all, as far as TV and all of that stuff. Okay. They walked away from a Spotify deal that was, I think it was like something million or whatever. We're going to get into all of that. So we're going to get into Meghan and Harry and my thoughts on their marriage. I would like to hear from you guys too. And then we're going to get into being married into the royals, the wives that were, commoners. They weren't of royal blood, but they ended up marrying into it. And we're going to see how, what all they go through, adjusting their life to become the wife of the royal, the princes and dukes and all of that stuff there. Um, it worked out for some and drove some insane. And some would never tell. And the ones that, the most outspoken was Diana. And you see what happened to her. Okay. So um, I do think that, like I said, this new generation, as far as how we live, I think that's how we're able to see and hear exactly what's going on inside of the palace, thanks to Meghan. All the claims that she have made. Do I totally believe her? No, I don't like Meghan. um I like her sassiness. But for Harry, I think they will be good for each other if she did not come from Hollywood. So it's kind of like a mockery. I think Queen Elizabeth wasn't too thrilled either. Um, but hell, we had a Hollywood president, Donald Trump, and then this girl. I was going through Netflix. I'm like, is that Megan? Okay, so she was in a movie. It's just like, oh my god. So I think Kate is would make a awesome queen, and I'm excited about her becoming queen. Um, she's good for it. I think she at first I didn't like her. I thought she was like uptight, but that's how you have to be. I think she's going to bring back how royalty conducts themselves and they handle themselves. Her and her husband. I think he'll make a good king. I like their children and all that stuff. But it's just, yeah. So we're going to get into Harry and Meghan raw and uncut, unlike dressing it up and all of that stuff. I ain't doing none of that. And then we're going to get into marrying into the royals as a commoner. Okay. Well, anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.